This is E3 Digital, a curatorial practice documenting the artists, artifacts, and ideas inscribed on Bitcoin. Today I'm joined by CyberSea, the artistic pseudonym of Michal Szafarski, a software architect, generative artist, curator, and one of the leading voices in the emerging art on Bitcoin movement. With a background in game programming and miniature painting and over 15 years of software development, CyberSea has built a body of work that sits at the intersection of code, storytelling, and permanence. His collections include Deus Ex Machina, Enigma, and the upcoming Code is Art, and explore Bitcoin not simply as a technology, but as an artistic material transforming blockchain data into machines, cities, narratives, and living systems. Beyond his own artistic practice, CyberSea serves as a resident artist with Bitcoin Art Society and has helped shape the conversation around what Bitcoin native fine art can become. His work challenges us to think differently about authorship, permanence, and the possibilities of generative art secured on the world's most durable digital network. CyberSea, welcome to E3 Digital.
Nice to meet you. I'm really happy and excited to be here.
Same, and it's truly my honor. I've spent the last few weeks studying your work from Emotions and Bang on Ethereum to Deus Ex Machina, Enigma, and now Code is Art on Bitcoin. One thing that has struck me is that despite the different aesthetics and technologies, there seems to be a consistent thread running through all of it, storytelling through systems. And so I'd love to start at the beginning. Before Bitcoin, before generative art, before CyberSea the artist, who was Michal Szafarski?
So basically, I was a software architect. I was working on a big corporate system. And yeah, what can be a bit surprising to you, I'm still working actively as a software architect. I'm, trying to connect it with my artistic practice. But yeah, I'm still also active on that field.
And you've just described yourself as a software architect, and I've also seen you describe yourself as a miniature painter, an RPG storyteller, and a generative artist. Which of those identities came first?
Uh, that's basically a hard question, but I think all of them are kind of connected. I was basically a storyteller from my high school years. So I was playing in RPG games and was creating the stories for people, and I really think that influenced my artistic view and artistic career. And I also was painting by hand the miniatures, which was yeah, I think I was really, and I'm still are really a nerd, and some kind of geek, because all this stuff was always exciting to me. And but I was also from my early years a coder, a programmer, and that was a really important part of my life. And when I discover at some point generative art, so the place where all these things are connecting, that was for me like biggest discovery in my life. So I think I'm still active in all these fields that you mentioned, and all of them are influencing what I creating right now.
You know, I read on your website that you've run an RPG campaign for over 10 years. What does long form storytelling teach you that shorter creative projects cannot?
Uh, I always was more into long-term strategy than just going with the quick session or stuff like that. I really like to create the whole world, whole idea, and if it's really complex, it needs just time to really show to the people and to people to understand it. And I think that it's important to give us this time and to give us this opportunity to tell the whole story without rushing and without just trying to show the next shiny things. No, I think we have time and we can really tell this story and not focus on the small details, but on the whole big thing.
How did miniature painting shape your artistic sensibilities?
I think that that was a kind of important part because if you look at all of my work, they are kind of complex. I never was a person that is minimalist. Everything what I done from the emotion through bank was more like a maximalism in the art, and that's exactly where miniature paintings are. It's like creating a miniature with you have really small canvas. It's like this size, right? And you really put a lot of details into a small piece. And yeah, that's the thing that really influenced me to put all these details and to go from something that you seen as a whole to really 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 small details and show them to the world.
I, I think the answer to this question may be one of those kind of like obvious answers, but as we look back at what you've done in your journey so far, do you think there were signs that code and art would eventually merge in your practice?
you know Basically that was when I discovered first the generative art. It was surprise for me that something like this exists, but when it happened it was just like a instant love, and it was just when I discovered it, it was, yeah, I want to do it, and I really want to go deep into this kind of art, because yeah, I was always a really good software developer. I will not be saying otherwise, because yeah, that was a kind of fact. And finally, when I can use all my skills to really push the art, it was, yeah, like some kind of revelation to me. So yeah.
I want to turn now from sort of the lore and early beginnings of CyberSea, and talk now about the journey from software architecture to generative art. At what point did you begin seeing code as a creative medium rather than simply as a professional tool?
I think that this point for me, this discovery, happened during the COVID pandemic. There was not much to do, so I go really deeply into the crypto world. I cannot, go outside from my home. I cannot go to the office. So I try to spend this time in some creative way. And I discovered the entity that was called GMDAO. It was on Ethereum back then, and it really, yeah, have a lot of the art enthusiast inside. And I became a curator with them and learned a lot about generative art from these guys. That was the early days. I think it was like 2022 or something like this, or 2021. I'm not sure right now. But I learned a lot from these guys, and it really showed me, the good practices and how the generative art can be done and what is important, and that people are actually really excited with the art and coding medium that is still kind of new in the world.
You just told us, essentially during the COVID pandemic is when you discovered sort of Web3 and generative art. Uh, was there a particular moment you can think of that made you kind of fall in love with this medium?
Mm, I think that was when I joined this GMDAO because they actually show, yeah, that was the main reason. It was kind of coincidence, that I discovered it because basically there was some kind of quiz on the X, and I solved it as one of first 10 person, and I got a token from GMDAO, and I entered them, and basically the Discord was full of the generative art enthusiasts. So I go into deep water, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. Is GM DAO still a decentralized autonomous organization, or has it subsequently? Is it still alive today?
No, it's not really active anymore. It was more like yeah, in the I think 2 3 years ago they were still doing something, but right now they are more like in some kind of slumber. I don't know. I really hope at some point they will be back, but at this moment they are definitely not active.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, bear
uh,
market is brutal for
yes,
everyone.
yes, undoubtedly. Um, was there a particular artist or collection or experience that like convinced you generative art could be fine art?
Mm, I think, yeah, there was few collection that really influenced me back then, but it was more like maybe not specific collection, but my practice as a curator, because we
Hmm.
get when the hype was high, like I don't know, 20 people that want to release with us for a week or for a month, depending on the moment in time. But I was reviewing all this art there, and yeah, you can really learn a lot watching other people ideas, how they try to do some stuff. And it was like from the really really basic work to crazy complex one from the biggest name on the in the space. So you really can see how different people approach the topic in generative art. And I understand by that you can actually create anything that is in your imagination through generative art. It's not like other art forms that go, for example, impressionism or something that really close you in some frame. No, you can go with each genre that you want, and still discover it with the generative art, because here the main medium is code, not like in normal traditional art, some other thing.
Wow, that's actually a really profound insight for me. I've never heard anyone explain generative art that way, but I completely agree. Uh, Many people just view code as purely functional. What do they miss?
Yeah, just you shouldn't think about code as just a functional thing. It's like something that let your imagination to be shown. There is basically no boundaries in code. You can do whatever you want. It's only the matter of time and skill. You can just This is how I basically working, that I first sit for a month, 2 or 3, imagining what I want to create, and then I just code it. It's yeah, I not see the boundaries in the code, because you can create whatever you want. It can be a lot of work, really a lot, but still it's possible.
Your upcoming collection is literally titled "Code is Art," and we'll talk much more deeply about that later in the podcast. But do you remember when did this phrase first become important to you?
I think that that was in my early days, as a artist. I put it on my Discord profile. I spent a lot of time on many Discords with just this sentence below my nickname. And later on, I also, which can be interesting, inscribe it on my signature inscription, the inscription that is the parent of all my collection, because it was so important to me. And now I decide to create the collection that will really tell the story and explain what I mean by that.
And the sneak peeks you've been, revealing in Lisbon and on X, I'm so excited. It was early days that this 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 term, I don't know what to call it, this expression, code is art,
Sentence.
sentence. There you
Yeah.
go. Tagline, punchline, sort of
Yeah.
philosophy, really. Um,
I think artist statement will be good
mm,
word for that, because
I love
it's
that.
what it is for me.
Yes. It was early days that this idea sort of came to you, but what has it evolved to, and what does it mean to you today?
I always imagine something like this, that we have a lot of different ways of doing art, right? For example, sculpture. And I was imagining that at some point in the history, there was a guy who, creating homes from the stone. At some point, he was so good at it that he started to do some part of it just for fun, like some sculpture from the stone that he was using in his daily work. And I think this is how art is born, that
Mm.
someone is using the material and using it very, very well. And at some point, he discovered that he can do more, something that is not for the usage, not for just the work, but for a pleasure. And this is basically what it means to me, that this material that code is can be used as an art form. And it's a fresh material. It's there was not code like 100 years ago. And I think this is a lot what we can do with this really, really specific medium.
That's beautifully said. I want to shift and talk about your early works, Emotions and Bang. One thing that surprised me was discovering Emotions. It was a deeply personal collection focused on joy, anxiety, anger, and hope. Why start there?
There is basically a funny story behind this collection, because I done it when I was, really somehow depressed, because I was creating other collection that was for something like I guess 8 months already, and I wanted to release it on some with some big studio, and that should be my first collection, and I was rejected, and I was so angry with this rejected that I decided that I will just create another collection. That is called Emotions. It was like my way to put these all feelings that I have inside away. It wasn't, a most complex collection. It was rather simple, but it helped me to breathe at that time and somehow feel better. And yeah, that was my way of handling that thing.
How do you translate something as intangible as emotion into a computational system?
Mm, Basically, I was, thinking how I feel and tried to just create this kind of feeling within the piece. I even named the color palettes exactly like the emotion, some of the emotions that I have. And it was, yeah, I think really, really personal project that I not really was intending and focusing on selling high. I was basically selling it for, I guess, $4 or $5 just to, push these emotions away and to feel a bit better at that time. And yeah, for me, it succeeded. It really filled me with a lot of hope and ideas for the next move.
And that next move, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, was Bang, and Bang
Yeah.
feels very different. You know, comic books, pop art, color, nostalgia. What inspired that collection?
I think you basically already said that, but yeah, as I told you, I am still are a nerd, and I love comic books and stuff like that. And I think that art that we create should be about something that we love, that is personal to us, because then it's great somehow. And for that collection, I really focused on all these nostalgic hours that I spent on the comic book and want to put it into the art form, generative art form. And I think it goes pretty well because, yeah, the collection was basically my first success in the generative art world. It was really nicely, yeah, people was really excited with them. It sell out. After a week, it was slow mint, of course, but still, I get a lot of important connections through this collection. People start seeing me as an artist after that, so I think it was really, really important milestone for me.
You cited Liechtenstein, Warhol, Marvel, DC, and comic culture as part of your inspiration on your website. What role does storytelling play in your work?
Basically, in that specific collection, I really wanted to show, and to move people imagination to these years when they were sitting with the comic book, maybe as a teenager, going through the, I don't know, favorite Batman or Superman comic. And I just want to, make them feel like a child again, just for a moment, and to really move into this nerdy part of them, and to talk speak to this nerdy part that is still somewhere, I guess, in the most people that are in crypto. So yeah,
I agree.
that was basically my idea there.
I want to shift now and talk about Bitcoin as artistic material. You said that discovering permanent on chain art was a mind blowing experience. Why?
Basically, because yeah, when I discovered Bitcoin and ordinals, everything just clicked in my head. For example, with Bank, it was already on-chain collection, but the problem that were with all the Ethereum's collection is that the collectors didn't have 100%, cannot be 100% sure it's on chain. To know that, they need to analyze smart contract, check on some other website or something like this. And with Bitcoin, you can be sure it's on chain. It will be always on chain. And also from my software architect background, it feels so pure, because all the constraints that are building ordinals are really well thought, and all of them are actually showing you the power and permanence of this blockchain. So it gives me as an artist a great opportunity to create something that will last, that probably will outlast me, all my friends, and everyone that I know. And when you think about such opportunity, it's just crazy that you can create something that will live, yeah, I hope forever. I don't think Bitcoin is going anywhere.
Many artists use Bitcoin as a storage layer. You seem to use Bitcoin as subject matter. Was that intentional?
Yeah, because I see Bitcoin not only as a coin, I see it as a movement. And when you think about this as a movement, then you want to create art that will actually resonate with this movement that Bitcoin is. And that was my goal from the beginning, to somehow create the art that is talking about the Bitcoin, that is showing the Bitcoin from the artistic perspective, that make people understand the Bitcoin in the way that they not think about it before.
I had not thought about. You just said that in a way that I've 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 thought it in my head, but I could never have articulated it just as eloquently as you have, and I greatly appreciate that. Deus Ex Machina was the first artwork to use Bitcoin data as a living canvas. What problem were you trying to solve?
It wasn't really a problem. It was more like showing some idea that I have in my head. Because I ask myself why we inscribe art on Bitcoin, right? Because we have so many other blockchains. You can inscribe fully on chain art on Ethereum if you want to. So I think, okay, I will create art that can exist only on Bitcoin and nowhere else, that is so tied to Bitcoin that it cannot be outside of it, cannot be shown outside of the Bitcoin. And that was Deus Ex Machina. I basically built it as a metaphor of Bitcoin itself, because you see this gears, all this steampunk machine that it shows. And this is basically the metaphor of Bitcoin, because it's the oldest blockchain, a bit clunky with this 10 minutes block and all this stuff that we have, especially then, when people were hijacking transaction. Yeah, there was a lot of issues, like in this old steamy machine, but it's still, the most durable, and it's working and will be working forever. And exactly this Deus Ex Machina is showing.
In your description of Deus Ex Machina, you write that beauty can emerge from brutal and ugly parts connected together. Was that statement about Bitcoin, software, or something larger?
Uh, it basically was kind of a general statement, not only about Bitcoin, because I was looking even at more bigger picture here. That yeah, it's also kind of a personal thing to me, because I'm living in Poland, in Katowice, and this is a mining city. So I see this gear almost every day from my window, because there are some mines with these big gears on top of them. And yeah, I believe that, going and showing this ugly part, like also transaction on the Bitcoin, and connecting them is something that is working. And when you look at it for long enough, it's even mesmerizing. It really can open people's eyes, that everything is connected, and if it working together, then can be beautiful.
Enigma was the follow-on collection to Deus Ex Machina, or your next work. Enigma feels like an evolution of Deus Ex Machina. Instead of Bitcoin as a machine, Bitcoin becomes a city, a maze, even a landscape. How did this idea emerge?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up the topic that I started with Deus Ex Machina. Basically, with Deus Ex Machina, as I told, I show it as a steampunk machine, but with the Enigma, I wanted to really go deeper and not only show the blocks how they move, but really go deeply into how Bitcoin works. And this is why I show it in that way. Basically, every part of the Enigma is some kind of metaphor of Bitcoin. If you look, for example, on the maze, it's a metaphor of the riddle that needs to be solved, mathematical riddle that needs to be solved to mine Bitcoin block. And bikes going through this maze is the metaphor of the transaction. The maze around the sun is the metaphor of the Dyson sphere, so the harvesting energy and how much energy Bitcoin needs. So yeah, basically each part here was connected to Bitcoin. But what is kind of was really important in this collection for me was also education layer. I wanted to people understand the Bitcoin through the collection and through the art, and this is why I introduced the time travel. And this is basically the mechanics that work like this: that you can travel through time to different blocks and see how Bitcoin evolves through time. And if you go, for example, to block that is connected to that is halving block, you will see that transaction will be long, that will be a lot of them, that they will be moving really, really fast. And if you go to current state, you will really see a difference. So yeah, I think when you show someone who never heard about how Bitcoin works, how blocks works, Enigma, and show him a few blocks, for example, block with 4 megas or something like this, he will actually understand through this art how the transaction and how the Bitcoin can work.
You said your ambition was not just to create art on Bitcoin, but art about Bitcoin. What stories about Bitcoin do you remain, or do you feel remain untold?
I really think that, I was mostly, at least for now, covering the technical part of Bitcoin. But there is also a big cultural layer of Bitcoin that still, at least from my side of art, still need to be explored. And I think I will be exploring it later on. But for now, I was mostly focusing on Bitcoin as an artistic material and medium, and on a technicals layers, how blocks works, how code on Bitcoin works, how ordinals works as a protocol, and stuff like that.
Do you think that Bitcoin native art is developing its own artistic language distinct from Ethereum or traditional digital art?
I think so. We are much more focused on the permanence on Bitcoin. We are also much more focused on our medium. I don't think that, for example, Ethereum people paid so much attention to the medium that they are using. Sure, they are minting on Ethereum really great collections, but they are not so much focused on the possibilities that give us this, kind of new medium that we have. And with Bitcoin, we've seen a lot of collection that is focusing on the chain itself and how it works. And I think that's a kind of big difference that we have.
You've spent time as both an artist and a curator. How has spending time on the curatorial side changed the way you think about your own work and the broader art on Bitcoin movement?
That's a kind of a really interesting question. Basically, I think that it really helps me to be much more critical around me and my art than I was in the beginning, because I seen a lot of ideas, a lot of other people arts, and really analyzing them. And also it helped me to create works that, at least in my opinion, are kind of unique, because I don't want to use other people's idea. I always try to go with something new that was not actually seen before. I seen a lot of works, for example, that was exploration of some well-known algorithms, like for example flow fields, like a polygon subdivision or stuff like that. And I'm trying to create my own algorithms that will be, yes, something that people not seen yet. Yeah, I find it really, important, especially in the AI age that we are living right now, when it's really easy to copy other algorithms and other ideas.
We're going to very soon shift to talking about code as art in particular. But before we do, uh, you, as part of this collection, have become a resident artist for Bitcoin Art Society, which describes itself as an institution operating natively on Bitcoin. What role do institutions play in establishing a lasting artistic movement? And why was Bitcoin Art Society the right home for your work?
So yeah, I personally think that I'm at this point in my career, artistic career, that I already have some great, at least from my perspective, the best community behind me. So I wanted to go one step further, and what I was kind of lacking is the institution support. And the Bitcoin Art Society is exactly this. They are trying to put art on Bitcoin to museums, big institutions, biggest collectors in the world. And I actually find, really inspiring that I can connect through them with such people and such places. And to have a bigger impact with my art is what I personally think was needed for me at, yeah, at this point of time. I think I'm kind of ready for that, and they can help me in what I was kind of missing.
I want to shift now and talk about your upcoming collection, Code as Art. You've called Code as Art your artistic statement. Why do you feel the need to make an artist statement at this point in your career?
As we basically said, it wasn't like I put it now. It's already with me for some longer time. But I really wanted to people to understand that, because many people see uh, art, coded art, as just an image. And I think personally that it's really wrong, and wanted them to understand that what is actually important is the algorithm that is shaping the art. And yeah, it's really hard, but when you think about it and look at just one piece of the collection, you are missing a lot. Because to have a good collection, it also helped me my curational past with understanding that if you look at one piece, you are missing that, for example, the collection not have enough variety, that the pieces look maybe too different, and they are not yeah, working together with each other. That, for example, some part of I don't know, tools that connection have itself inside are not working properly. And all these specific small things that I found important is, missing when you just look at the image. And for example, connection to the data, to real data. If you just look at the image, you can look at the video and think that it's all, but then you are missing, in case of Enigma, that it looks different in the block that was halving block, and it looks totally different now. So you are missing so many things, and that was kind of message that I actually want to send, that people should understand that code is the real art, not the image that they see, and should look at it as a whole.
Well, I would love now if we could actually pull up for the audience um, code is art, or because in a recent post you wrote that code is art and all. Would you like to share your screen, CyberSea?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Just doing it. Give me a second. Okay, so this is
Give me
Cody's
one
art.
second. I'm gonna sign it that way they can see it. I can see it, but they can't see it yet. Okay, so now they can see it.
Perfect. So yeah, you can see, and this is, I think, one of the most important part of Cody's art. You see, I inscribe as parent of the collection the whole source code, and you can actually look into the collection to specific files and see how I built specific functionality. And yeah, I think through this, I'm showing people that this is actual art, and this is just the outputs from the algorithm. And what I also really believe, and it's crazy important for me in this collection, is that it's, fully open source. And I believe that, if we look in the past and want to share some, yeah, how the great software was built, how Bitcoin was built. It was open source, right? And sharing art like this, it's a very important statement, because people can build on top of that, can check how I done some things, can even take some part of the code and use in their own projects. That can actually, create some kind of wave, some progress in the artistic world. And I really hope for it, because I use so many new things in this collection and really put a lot of effort to also the code to be clean and easy to read and understand to the people. I, for example, done a thing that no one is really thinking about. That, yeah, just imagine that usually when you go to art collection, generative art collection on the ordinals.com, and you try to see all the pieces, ordinals.com break, because it cannot handle the all the output and all the context of WebGL. And I wrote my own, for example, queue system that is preventing ordinals.com from breaking when we go to the pieces. It will take some time, but they will actually render, the website will not explode, hopefully. uh, yeah, and I really think that, these small things are important here. For example, you know what I done? I actually wrote a script that is creating some small thumbnail, and it's making it JPEG that is shown, and to just free the context of WebGL. So a lot of really technical, parts that normal people not really think about are in this code, and they can use it. They can see this pattern that I use. You see, it's not exploding. And for example, if we go even deeper and about the idea of code is art, you know that everything in this collection are code. that if we go, for example, oh, this is what happened when the block is mined. It collapses into this sphere and the system is resetting. But I want to go to the normal camera and just show you that if you zoom in, you will see that everything is basically the small code letters.
Wow.
It's built from the code itself. And if you zoom in even more, then you will see that the lines in the background that are going, it's the small lines of code taken exactly from my project. So you can see the function that I use in the project as a background, And yeah, there is really a lot here to talk about and to show. So
I just saw
yeah,
like kind of that pulse that went through. What was that?
yeah, because all these pieces are moving and evolving, and this is because it was like the uh, metaphor of the artist mind, and the ideas are moving. They look chaotic, the movement, but when you look for long enough, you see at the beginning the shape of this big structure was a helix, right?
Yes.
But if you look for long enough, you will see that all this movement that look chaotic is trying to reach another consensus, and it will shape some other. It will create some other shape, like a big sphere or big box or some other, geometric structure. But yeah, it will need time. And it's also a metaphor of the Bitcoin itself when the transaction are trying on the mempool to fill the block, right? Because it will be speeding up the movement when it will be near the next block, mining of the next block. So the pieces will start moving faster to reach this consensus before the new transaction are mined. You
This
see, it's
is
starting to creating the sphere slowly, because
yes,
probably
yes.
it's going to a sphere, but I'm not sure because I don't know which structure the system choose, because Bitcoin is deciding. We need to watch it for a moment to see what it will build, but at some point you will see what is built from that.
And I could sit here and watch this for hours. It
I will show you one
absolutely
more thing
capture. Yes,
that
please.
you also have the automatic camera, and you can watch it in more entertaining way when you just let the system control the camera, do some movement and stuff like that. Oh, block. And it will start again from the helix, right? Because this is the starting point of this specific piece. Each of the pieces have a different starting point and yeah, different ending point. Ending point is different in each block. So it's trying to reach the consensus, but you never know which exactly shape it's trying to move into.
What
I
I
will maybe
find
move
really
it to the full
interesting.
screen.
Yes, please do. What I find very interesting about it is the feeling I get watching this piece. It almost feels how I feel when I watch fireworks, where I'm just encaptured by the show. Does that make sense?
Yeah, uh, that was also one of goals of this collection, because, for example, when I was watching Deus Ex Machina for a really long time, yeah, it wasn't capturing my attention after 30 seconds, 1 minute, and with this collection, I think it's evolving in such ways, some hard to predict ways,
Mm.
that it actually is entertaining even if you watch it for a really long time, because you are not sure how the evolution is going and where it's actually heading right now.
I think that's right, and it's funny because random was the word I had when I was thinking about the fireworks. Is like it's sort of this elaborate display that seems orchestrated, and yet a degree of randomness that, even the person who's launching the fireworks can't control, no matter how much they, the pyrotechnician obviously orchestrated the ignition, if that makes sense.
I will tell you one more thing here, that I always seen also generative art as a kind of fight between order and chaos, and this is what I also tried to encapsulate here. This constant fight, because as an artist, you are putting a lot of stuff into randomness and chaotic, but still trying to create boundaries around that will create the output that somehow you want to show. And this is why I am saying that all of this is somehow the also encapsulation of the artist's mind, because it looks chaotic like this, and it should look chaotic, but it's heading somewhere, right?
And that's an extremely interesting insight because, as we know, and I'll put myself on the screen now. Thank you for sharing. The fight between order and chaos has captured sort of Western intellectual thought for, as early as Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey, and even I think it's the not the histories, but Theogony and Works and Days. I can't think of the author of those
Yeah.
works, but just sort of this constant fight between the gods and trying to create order out of chaos, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think? Do you think that generative art is unique in that sense, in trying to try to merge those two conflictions or
I
opposition
think
forces?
yes. I think really it's unique in that case, and there is one more missing part that I really want to mention here. That is probably impossible in any other art form, to create something like this, like in generative art, because this collection will be forever evolving, but not, in the chaotic manner, but in a really, really ordered manner. What that means? All these symbols that you see, like, for example, Bitcoin symbol, gear symbol, is somehow connected to my artistic career,
Mm.
and it encapsulate my past. But what about the future? I use reinscription and recursion to have possibility to add new symbols later on to all the pieces. So basically, it will be evolving, and whenever I release a new collection, new symbol will arrive to all the pieces that will be in the different collectors' wallets. So they will basically, with having this piece, they will have ever evolving symbol of my artistic career on Bitcoin that will be showing new things whenever I develop these new things. So I think that is kind of impossible to do in other art forms, to have this to change, the artwork that is already in some collector vaults with a new things just like that. And Bitcoin, recursion, reinscription give us this crazy opportunity to create really living artwork.
So, as you've just expressed it, code as art evolves as your career evolves, and not to get dark, but what happens when the artist is gone? Does the work become complete, or does it become something else in entirety?
I think that will be the, yeah, exactly, completion of the work. It will end together with me.
Mm, that's beautiful. When someone encounters your work 50 or 100 years from now, what do you hope they understand?
I think they will see that, that was really early works on the medium that take over the world, and that actually help somehow shape the view on this medium to other people. And this is what exactly I want to achieve with the code is art and publishing all the source code and all the technologies behind it, like augmented reality, holographic screens, and all this shiny stuff that people will be excited with at some point.
And we got lost in the exploration of your collection code as art. I had a whole section where I was going to ask questions about Bitcoin Art Society, and I would be remiss. We're coming up on an hour, and so I would be remiss if we didn't shout them out. Is there anything you would like to say about your time and experience being the, I believe, second resident artist at Bitcoin Art Society?
Yeah, I think at least for now, it's a really, really great experience for me. It started in a kind of funny way because the founder of the Bitcoin Art Society, Serge, come to Poland and spent almost 2 weeks together with me when we were talking about the art, about artistic ideas, where they are heading, where I want to head. It was so personal and so inspiring, I think, to both of us that we decided to work together. And I also think, that it was kind of unique because usually when you work with some studios, it's not like, the founder is coming to you, to your home and spend time with you and actually try to get know of you. So that
Wow.
was, yeah, definitely something different.
That is amazing to hear. Um, Shout out to Bitcoin Art Society and Surge. That seems like just such a rewarding experience to be able to sort of sit down and reflect for such a long time with the founder of the studio. Um,
Yeah,
as we
personally, I could talk about them for an hour, but I know that our time is kind of limited right now.
Yes, and I had so many other questions that I had planned to ask, but in the interest of time, I'm gonna end on a couple of closing ones before wrapping up. If we were sitting here 10 years from now, what do you think people will say was misunderstood about the early art on Bitcoin movement?
Personally, I really think that people will discover difference between coded art and other art form, and how exactly and why coded art is, different and it works perfectly with Bitcoin. Because I believe that, at some point there will be only possible to inscribe coded art on Bitcoin. Why? Because it's light. Space on Bitcoin will be crazy expensive 10 years from now. It will be basically impossible to inscribe a JPEG. And code is light. It's the lighter and most efficient thing that you can inscribe on Bitcoin. And I believe this is basically the future of art on Bitcoin.
Wow, that I had no one had posited that idea to me, and thank you for that. What are collectors overlooking about generative art today?
I think this is exactly what I'm trying to say with this collection. They look at the art, the image, not at the algorithm behind, not as a whole system, but they try to just, see it as a one beautiful, shiny piece. And I think this is why they're missing so much. And yeah, they should definitely look at the whole collection and whole system as a yeah one. This is
What
the art.
what excites you the most about the future of art on Bitcoin?
I think we are so early and so many things are still unexplored that I'm crazy excited what we will develop and create in 5, 10 years. I think we can really achieve a lot more than it is right now. And yeah, I'm just curious what it will be because technology is going so fast forward with AI, with all this crazy stuff that we can do right now and was basically impossible before. That, yeah, I think the art 10 years from now will be different experience. And also what we are missing, we cannot really right now show the art on Bitcoin in the good way. There is no screen that supports really the generative art because it needs a lot of computing power to generate something like this and have this connection in real time to Bitcoin. And we're missing so many pieces to really put this art into people's home. And I hope in 10 years it will be in everybody's homes.
I have the same hope. For someone discovering CyberSea for the first time through this interview, what single work should they begin with and why?
That's really, really hard question, honestly. But I think to the person that not have, knowledge about what I was creating, Enigma could be a good starting point. Even from financial perspective, it's still kind of affordable. It's connecting to the Bitcoin, so encapsulating all the important stuff for me. And what is kind of important, it also have this educational layer, right? So the people can actually play with it, see different blocks, and understand how Bitcoin is evolving over the time. And later on, they can move to the Cotis art or Deus Ex Machina, which have really, historical impact with being first recursive inscription. But the start, I guess, is best with the Enigma. It's easiest to understand for people.
CyberSea, Michael, thank you for your time. I will have links below to your website, to your X profile, and also to Bitcoin Art Society so people can begin to explore and learn more about your soon to be launched Codis art collection. Is there anything else or any other links? I'd like to give you the last word.
So, in the last words, I want really to thank you for your time, for the interview, for all the questions that you prepared, because it was really, really well prepared and you really done your homework, and know about what I created and about my story. So, really, really thank you for that and for sharing art on Bitcoin with people. We need more
I'm
of that.
I'm honored to have your time, and the pleasure was all mine. So thank you for coming on E3 Digital. And for those viewing, make sure you share this video and check out CyberSea's collections. Give him a follow, like, and also share and like this recording with anyone you know who enjoys art on Bitcoin or needs to learn more about art on Bitcoin. So thank you guys.
Thank you.